Old School's latest expansion, Herblore, introduced a wealth of new content, but this was only part 1 of 3, and the upcoming installment promises a new way to engage with Herblore. The new activity is a drastic adjustment to how Herblore is done today, and could have some massive effects on training the skill and the in-game economy. Let's dive right into it. Herblore is undeniably one of the most impactful skills in the game. However, producing potions can be arduous and expensive. Herblore can be divided into 3 major components: collection, preparation, and mixing. You can easily be pulling 300 to 500k XP an hour when mixing potions, but getting these supplies doesn't come easy. Even if you're a main account, you can lose hundreds of mils to get 99. Ironmen getting those supplies themselves drastically reduces that effective XP an hour as well. 1 hour of mixing may give 400k XP, but it took 20 hours behind the scenes to prep those supplies. This activity aims to change that completely. Let me explain. Right out of the gate, the most impactful change is the activity will use exclusively herbs. That means no secondaries. But why? I believe the devs had 3 major goals when planning this. First, let Ironmen get XP from banked herbs they wouldn't otherwise make, or from secondaries that are time consuming to get. This could generally speed up Herblore when we consider all of the time collecting secondaries now being gone. 2. Focus on the production side of the skill, not XP. Traditionally, Herblore is done for a huge loss on mains. Perhaps this can reduce that loss or even be profitable. For irons, you might get less potion per herb, but that saved time not getting secondaries could net you more potions per hour. More herb runs, less potato cactus picking. Third, bring some more engagement and fun to a boring bank standing activity. I'm gonna get roasted for this, I'm sure, but you don't have to think about the game only as efficiency, and this might just be a more fun way to play. Okay, so you're bought in, but how does this activity work? It's time for a lightning rundown. Herbs are split into 3 groups: Lie, Aga, and Mox, shortened to L, A, and M. Each herb has a weighting within each group that corresponds to how much paste you get per herb. For example, Guam is 1, Irid is 4, but they're both in the Mox group. The game loop looks like this. Insert herbs into a mixer to get a paste of whatever group they belong to. Take an order for a potion that requires some combination of these pastes, for example, AAM or LLL. Use the lab to insert your paste. Brew the potion, and complete the order for reward points corresponding to the pastes used. That means no secondaries, no making unfinished potions, no crushing secondaries, and more intensity. So let's go through rewards and experience and how they could change the game. But first, the devs did leave some notes on what they're expecting from the activity. They said less XP per hour than normal potion mixing. They're attempting to get more XP per herb, but it could end up being less XP per herb, that's TBD. And you'll get less potions back per herb than normal Herblore. First, we have to talk about the reward you would come back for again and again. Potion packs. These will give you potions based on the type, L, A, or M, that you purchase. Remember, you earn these points based on the type of herbs you use and orders you fill. Packs of a certain type, for example Lie, will be bought almost entirely with L points. These packs will then contain potions from any herb in that group, weighted towards potions that are more quote-unquote useful. This has some extreme potential. The biggest unknowns coming into this are how the amount of paste translates to number of potions, what the distribution of useful potions looks like, and how easy it is to get exactly the orders you want. We just don't have those numbers yet, and I think it's going to take Jagex a while to figure it out. But let's talk about why these numbers are going to be really important. First, let's consider Ironmen. Let's say you're growing toadflax and doing your birdhouse runs like a good Ironman. If you do both every hour, you should end up with about 9 times as many toadflax as bird's nests. Because this activity lets you skip collecting those secondaries, you could take your remaining toadflax and still convert them into brews and other potions. This means if you can get herbs faster than secondaries, or you just don't want to farm secondaries, you can skip right to gaining experience in potions. If you put the time you were using to get secondaries towards getting more herbs or even other activities, it could be more efficient and less tedious. Another really impactful use is getting potions you want from herbs that don't make that potion. In this way, the activity acts as an herb exchanger of sorts. Let's think about brews again. Normally, I need toadflax to make brews, and lanthodimes are only used for magic potions and antifires. But let's say you have more than enough lanthodime-based potions. You can now mix down lanthodimes into the same paste as toadflax, which means come reward time, you'll be getting brews, among other things. It essentially changes herbs from being 1-to-1 or 1-to-2 with the potions they make, to now 1-to-10 with all of the potions in that group. One way to use this to your advantage could be, if you really want ranging potions, you use your dwarf weeds normally, and all other herbs of that group go into this activity. Then the potion packs you buy with them will return even more ranging pots. Now let's talk about mains and the herb economy. On a main, 70% of the brew price is from the nest. The devs said we will get less potions per herb on average, but the devil's in the details. If you could get, say, 1 brew from 2 toadflax versus today's 1 brew from 1 toadflax and a nest, it would provide a cheaper alternative to get brews. This could drastically adjust the prices of brews and their ingredients. What's more, because all herbs in a group can now effectively transform into the same potions, if this activity becomes the popular way to make potions, we'll expect all these herb prices to be tied together. Prices for potions may adjust drastically as herb prices change, secondaries become unused, and potentially less desired potions flood the market as people buy packs hunting for brews or restores. To put it simply, it's really complex. And I'm no economist, but I think it's fair to say if the activity returns even close to 1-to-1 of potions to herbs, it will drastically affect the prices of herbs, secondaries, and potions. I don't envy trying to balance the numbers. I'd love to hear what you guys think about how potion packs might affect Ironmen and the economy below. The next most important part is experience. One major piece of feedback about the community is, why would I train this way expecting less potions, less XP an hour, and less XP for my herbs? Well, if you're worried about efficiency, I think it could still be better XP an hour in the long term for Ironmen. Let's go back to what we talked about originally. The XP per hour in potions created cannot be thought of about just as mixing potions. It's the culmination of collection, preparation, and then finally combination. 1 hour of mixing could take 20 hours of prep. Gathering secondaries takes a ton of time, and making unfinished potions or crushing secondaries takes time too, or more money if you're using Zahur. If the activity here completely removes one or two of the most time-consuming and expensive components of training Herblore, there's a really good chance it already gives better XP an hour when we account for the whole Herblore game loop, especially for Ironmen. For mains, I think it's stated that this isn't really meant to be a high XP activity, and since traditional Herblore only requires money and very high XP rates, I think it won't be competitive for experience. The trade-off is less loss or potentially even profit from these potion packs. It also just sounds like a more fun thing to do if you're into that sort of thing. But let's dig into that. First, less XP per hour than normal potion mixing. Again, it will be slower than mixing the potions, but that doesn't mean it's going to be slower overall for Ironmen. Second, less XP per herb makes sense, since you don't even need to get a secondary. If secondaries are easy to get, say Eyes of Newt for irrit potions and super attacks, then just do traditional Herblore for faster XP and the maximum potion return. Third, the less potions back per herb does make sense, because if you could get back 1 brew for 1 toadflax in this, it would completely break the existing balance. Bird nests are already way harder to obtain than toadflax, so since we're cutting out the need for nests, we should expect a few less brews per toadflax, unless they want to totally tank the price for brews and inflate toadflax. Okay, with all that out of the way, let's get into the untradeable one-time unlocks. First is the skilling outfit. The Alchemist set is a new skilling outfit which offers 10% chance to save secondary ingredients. The Amulet of Chemistry Eye will be a chargeable version using existing amulets of chemistry that will give you a 15% chance for a 4-dose potion instead of 3. Essentially, one saves you time and money on secondaries, and one will give you more potion for your supplies. This sounds generally helpful for Ironmen. It means less time collecting supplies, more potions for your supplies. I think it's a net win. You spend more time doing the fun part of the game, not picking up dragon scales, and it doesn't really break the XP rates. For main accounts, I never really liked these. It reminds me of the Robes of the Eye and Blood Essences. I get why it's great for Ironmen, more runes for the same time rune crafting, but it absolutely tanks the value of runes. So now while you don't strictly have to get the Robes of the Eye as a main account, rune crafting as a moneymaker was completely crippled without them. The market will adjust, the margins for making potions without these items will just get worse unless you have them. I much prefer rewards that feel like unlocks, like the diary reward of a mining area makes you feel better than 10% XP in an herb patch. I just never like rewards that push you where you feel like you have to get them or you're going to lose a substantial amount of money and time. Potion storage. This will give you a dedicated location in the bank to store all of your potions, which should free up a ton of space. I've seen a lot of excitement about this one, but I'm a little apprehensive. It seems to be drifting from the simpler old school style for more UI clutter and menus. I think these things are a death by 1,000 cuts, where one UI adjustment is fine, but they can quickly pile up and leave something that was once simple significantly more complicated. That said, I think the devs have made some great improvements in clarity on the screen over the years, and once we see it, it may be totally natural and integrate easily. We'll just have to see. Lastly is the reagents pouch. This allows you to store 30 secondary ingredients. Seems like a small quality of life to make potion mixing a little more AFK and secondary collection less painful. Don't think this is game breaking, and it'll make those activities a little more tolerable. Finally, the tradable purchases. This is a big one. Goading potions are essentially aggression potions from RS3. They'll be made with a secondary only acquirable through this activity. They extend your aggressive timer, which isn't that impactful, but they now also make unaggressive monsters aggressive. This is a pretty massive change. I'm glad there's AFK options for a bunch of skills so you can make progress without having to be fully glued to the screen. I think it's a part of the game and should always be around. I do think AFK Slayer already exists on some tasks, but I don't like pushing players towards this even farther. My general stance is more active content is better. I'd rather evolve the meta and push higher XP and rewards for people who want to actively play, so that those with limited time are rewarded for spending it, not doomed to go slowly no matter how active they want to be. AFK content should always have a place in the game, but I think it should be a backup. This is a step too far in my opinion. Encouraging people to not interact or look at the screen except for notifications is just generally not a good direction. I just don't think Slayer should feel like woodcutting. If they restrict them to locations like the cannon and the catacombs, maybe I'd have a different opinion. But let me know why I'm wrong down below. The pre-pot device is a tradable item that will let you sip a dose of multiple potions in a preset order while you're standing at a bank. This item seems extremely niche to me. There's some uses at Nex and raids where your stats can be drained, so you like sip a Menophyte remedy and then take your divine pot so you're ready to go. I'm really indifferent, but if it helps somebody, Sure. Okay, that's it for what we know about the activity. But I had one last thought that I haven't seen, although I have a feeling it's not original. The biggest comparison I've seen drawn to this activity is Giant's Foundry. I think the main idea of Giant's Foundry was to find a use for all those items you've already smithed or get from monsters that you'd normally just out. You can use bars, and you often do, but I think that concept of recycling was a cool idea. I feel like the analogy to that for Herblore would be reusing those potions that you don't have a use for. For example, tons of people have made attack, strength, anti-fire, magic potions in excess of what they'll ever use. Instead of throwing in Guams, let me throw in my attack potion. This lets Ironmen recoup some losses from potion they've already made on their journey, and would give Herblore potions some value. If you made it this far, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.